In East Jerusalem, the small Palestinian neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah is emblematic of the tensions. After years of legal battles in the Israeli courts, some Palestinian families who have lived here for decades and been granted residency, but not Israeli citizenship, were given eviction orders. Jewish settlers alleging that they were living on properties owned by Jews before the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. This sparked protests amongst Palestinians who make up 40% of the population in Jerusalem, but who have little say on how the city is governed. Tensions rose throughout the Islamic holy month of Ramadan and culminated at the Al-Aqsa Mosque complex in Jerusalem's Old City, next to the holiest site in Judaism, Temple Mount. This place, with huge religious and national significance, was where thousands of worshippers at last Friday's prayers were met with a heavy Israeli police presence. Amidst the rockets fired by Palestinian militant groups and airstrikes by the Israeli military, confrontations between Israeli forces and Palestinians have been far-reaching. After rioting by Israeli Arabs, Palestinians who have been granted Israeli citizenship, a state of emergency was declared in the city of Lod. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman.
Dawn in Gaza, the Islamic holiday at the end of Ramadan. Shattered by airstrikes on a building Israel says belongs to Hamas. This is either the precursor to invasion or a short, sharp shock so that one is deemed not required. Palestinians walked dazed among the rubble on a day when they would usually be shopping or eating out. No chance of that in this street now. Further south in Khan Yunis, the funeral of an 11-year-old boy and his 13-year-old cousin. 18 children have been reported killed so far. To the Israelis, they were human shields used by Hamas. To the Palestinians, their deaths are just the latest violation of international law. Israel says it has killed 16 Hamas commanders, and some of them were buried today. The group has asked for a ceasefire, which suggests it thinks it's won the propaganda war. Its rockets have been fired further and with greater intensity than ever before, even though they're made of irrigation pipes and fertilizer and at risk of running out. Hamas has shown it can spread terror across Israeli cities.
The decision to bomb Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Dimona, Ashkelon, Ashdod and Beersheba is easier for us than drinking water.
In Petah Tikva, a city east of Tel Aviv, evidence of Hamas's reach, and that Israel's Iron Dome defences can't stop every attack. 5 people were hurt. This man in the same building was watching the conflict on the news when suddenly he became part of it. In Sderot, which is close to Gaza, a 5-year-old Israeli boy was killed. And even if both sides do step back from the brink of all-out war, listen to this neighbour demanding the opposite.
It's very, very difficult to live under these circumstances, and the government should wipe out Gaza, once and for all. It's going to happen again many, many times. The government should wipe out Gaza.
These pictures, released by Israeli police, show Palestinian Arabs rioting in the central Israeli city of Lod. It's a coup for extremists on both sides if Arab and Jewish communities begin falling apart. How can they pray in the mosque and then lynch people? This man asks an Arab passing by. We need to live together, comes the Arab's answer. That's even harder when Palestinian youths are filmed attacking an Orthodox Jew in Jerusalem after no peace talks for years and no peace plan worth the name. This was the Victory ice cream parlour south of Tel Aviv, owned by Christian Arabs and ransacked by a Jewish mob. This polarisation is not years, but decades in the making. And to Benjamin Netanyahu's critics, it gives the lie to his claim that he can keep his country safe. Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister was today meeting soldiers and inspecting Iron Dome missile batteries. Until now, he's been unable to form a coalition. The man they call Mr. Security is seeking a route back to power.
We will continue striking Hamas while defending our citizens. It will take more time, but with great firmness in offence as well as defence, we will achieve our goal of bringing back calm to the State of Israel.
This crisis seems to have benefited Hamas so far. You can see it in the compound of Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque, where worshippers marked the end of Ramadan beneath the group's banner. Because it was Hamas which made Israel answer for firing rubber bullets across this holy ground on Monday. In Gaza, they are praying that Egypt might broker a peace. But 9,000 Israeli reservists were called up today, and history shows that Israel won't stop unless Palestinian rockets stop flying first.
So in Lod, we are seeing in the last day tension between Palestinian Arab residents of Lod and Israeli right-wing settlers, mostly coming from the West Bank in recent years and living here. The tension started for many different reasons. First of all, the solidarity protest with Al-Aqsa, but later also the police behavior and the fact that the Israeli men opened fire and killed a Palestinian Arab man with live fire here in Lod. This led to a huge explosion that we saw across Israel in many Arab Palestinian cities. And youth that I'm talking to are saying that this is not just for Al-Aqsa or for the police brutality. This blew up everything: the poverty, the house demolition, the racism, the systematic discrimination, this youth. So this is not something we've seen before, just a political act. But of course it's political, but it's also frustrations of years of the discrimination from the municipality to the police to the general government. I've been a journalist for 15 years and I've been covering things in the West Bank, in the Gaza border, inside Israel. Such a wave of violence between citizens, Palestinian citizens of Israel and Israeli Jews, including lynches, burning cars, this wave of violence we never saw.